Hi there, I'm Samantha, and I will be reading Don't Hurt It, written by Anne Harf. Flit, flap, flit. A moth fluttered against the inside of the window. Terrell watched. Flop, flutter, flit. The moth was creamy brown. Its antennae looked like tiny feathers. Calvin ran into the room, looking for his shoes. What are you watching? He asked. Terrell pointed. A moth. Calvin said, I'll get rid of it. He raised his hands to slap the moth. No, Terrell said. Calvin glanced at Terrell. No, he asked. Don't hurt it, Terrell said. The moth saw its chance. It fluttered away from the window. It landed on the ceiling. Its wings opened and closed. Calvin shrugged. Hey, Mom, he called. I'm going out. He left. Terrell lay on the floor. He looked up at the moth. It had one black dot on each wing that looked like eyes. See, right here. Ebony wandered in with a book. She sat on the couch. The moth fluttered from the ceiling. It fluttered over Ebony's open book. Yuck, she waved her hand. Go away. The moth landed on a page of her book. Ebony started to flick it with her finger. No, Terrell yelled, don't hurt it. Ebony turned to look at Terrell. The moth saw its chance. It fluttered away. It landed on the window curtains. Terrell moved close to the moth. Its body was fuzzy. Black, shiny eyes looked at him. Whoosh, zoom, whoosh. Mom came in with the vacuum cleaner. She vacuumed under the chairs and under the tables. She moved closer to the curtains. Oh, you don't belong here, she said to the moth. She raised the vacuum cleaner hose. She moved it towards the moth. No, yelled Terrell. What? Said Mom. Don't hurt it. Mom turned off the vacuum. Okay, then take the moth outside. Terrell crept closer to the moth. It's not safe for you here, he whispered. He cupped his hands around it. The moth's wings tickled his palms. Terrell carried the moth downstairs and outside. He opened his hands to free the moth. The moth was still for a minute. It opened its wings and closed them again. You're welcome, Terrell said. The moth fluttered away. So what do you think of the story? Okay, here's some comprehension questions. Why does Calvin run into the room? All right, let's go back and see. Why does Calvin run into the room? Calvin ran into the room looking for his shoes. Okay, let's see. How would you describe the moth's body? Do you remember how the moth was described? Let's see. Here it is. The moth was creamy brown. Its antenna looked like tiny flat feathers. Okay. Who is the second person to almost hurt the moth? Do you remember? Well, let's go back and check. So, who sees the moth first? Terrell saw it first. Okay, and he wanted to save it. And then the first person who wanted to hurt the moth was Calvin when he ran in looking for his shoes. And Terrell said no. And then Calvin left the room, and Terrell was still looking at the moth. Then Ebony wandered in with the book, and she was the second person who wanted to hurt the moth. So when we go back and they ask, who's the second person to almost hurt the moth, that would be Ebony. And how does Terrell feel about the moth? Well, throughout the book, he's the one who what? He wanted to save the moth. And he's actually the one who let it go at the end. See? He said goodbye.